Hello everyone and welcome to another Bimmer Fixer video, and in this video I will show you how to change your front discs and pads on your BMW 5 Series e60. Okay, so once you've got your car up in the air and it's nice and secure and safe, and you've got your wheel off, that will give you access to your caliper. Now the first thing to come off the caliper is this retaining clip here, and you can just pop a screwdriver in there and just release it, which is what I'll do in a second. But while the caliper is in situ, I'm going to give it a bit of a wire brush, a bit of a clean down while it's there, because once the caliper's off, it's going to be a bit trickier to clean. So what we can do is we can turn the wheel like so. Now that'll give you better access to the sliding pins, which are on the back there, and then you can give the full caliper a good clean and get that clip off. So we'll do that now. Okay, so once you've given your caliper a good clean, what you can do then is remove this retaining clip here. So all you need to do is just pop a screwdriver in between the caliper and the clip, put the pressure, and it'll pop straight off. Now if we move the wheel nice and slowly and gently round to full lock, that's going to expose the two slider covers. So I can get you in. So we've got one just there, and the other one is, I don't know if you can see, just there. Okay, so we can pop those covers off like that, and then the same with the top one. If it's a bit tricky, you can get a screwdriver on it, but just be careful with the rubber boot if you do that. And there we go. So now that's exposed the sliders. Now the sliders are a 7mm Allen, so you can use an Allen key, but I just find it's a bit more useful. I've also seen people use Torx on these. I don't know if that's a thing. Pop a comment in the comments if you know of it being a Torx at any point. I always thought they were 7mm Allens. So once you're in, a bit of a, that's it. They shouldn't be overly tight, so just work it out a little bit, and then you'll be able to get it from, or by hand. Do the same with bottom one. Just, there you go, knock it off. Okay, so what you'll find is they will grip inside the rubber hoses. So if you just kind of twist and wiggle at the same time, you find that it works its way out. There we go, so that's one. Now, if memory serves me right, this bottom one was always a bit of a pig, because it likes to grip the rubber. And she is, yeah. Right, okay, I'm going to carry on and get this one out, and then once this one's out, we'll be able to start pushing the pads back on the caliper. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to kind of compress the piston slightly to allow us to remove the caliper actually off the caliper bracket. Now you can do this by just pulling on the caliper itself, forcing it against the disc. That will compress the piston enough for you to hopefully just lift it off. It's just getting over the lip of the disc the main problem. Or you can use a G-clamp like this one, so you can just pop it on like that, just gently squeeze, and that will close the piston and move the piston in. Just a word of warning, just make sure the level of your brake fluid is okay. This is the time when you can put too much pressure in the reservoir and pop off the top, or pour out the top. So just check the level before you compress the piston, so especially if you've topped it out recently. So then what you need to do, once your piston's compressed, is you can just wiggle your caliper off, like so, pop that brake pad out, and that one there, so it's full, and then you can just put your caliper up on the spring, or you can use a bungee, something like that, and then that will reveal the two bolts for the caliper bracket. Now in my case they are 18s, I think they can be 17s in say the 520D or the 520. That's the same with the discs as well. So one of the characteristics of the bigger brake discs, so these ones, which are 324mm, is the hub here is flat. As you can see, it's flat here with a little kind of taper, and the other ones have a little step here. They're the slightly smaller ones. So that's if you have this disc and the new ones arrive and they've got the step here, they're the wrong disc, they're the wrong size. So just double check. Yeah. So once these are revealed, we could pop a little bit of motion lotion just on these, because I think they're going to be a bit tricky. We'll get those removed. That'll help us, well, that will take the bracket off, and then we can look at removing the disc. Okay, so once you've removed your caliper bracket with your 18mm bolts, it's a good opportunity to give it a clean and get rid of some of that build up. So we're going to use some brake cleaner, and you can just use a wire brush, but we're going to go for the drill brush instead. Okay, so the next port of call is this locking butt here. This is used to keep the disc in place on the production line. Now, someone's had a go at this before. This should be, I think, a 5 or 6mm Allen, but it looks more like a torque screw because it's been absolutely mullered, so we may have to drill that out. But yeah, so once you remove that, then the disc will just come away. But I think it's going to be a bit more of a mission for me. Oh, actually, while I'm here as well, also, I should have filmed the other side, because on this caliper there's no brake wear sensor, but on the other side there is, and all you need to do is, it sits in there, so you just need to gently remove it out of that little groove there. Okay, so the wear sensor sits just in that groove there. So yeah, as feared, that's going to have to be drilled out, possibly even tapped, and then a new one popped in. So to stop the disc from rotating while we're drilling, you can pop 2 wheel nuts back in, or bolts, and then that will secure it. If you pop a torsion bar through there, and that will secure it. Okay, so we've had some success. We've managed to drill the head of that bolt out. So with a bit of luck, I'm going to be able to just drill that one out and not affect the current thread, and I can just whack a new bolt. Worst case scenario, I've got to re-tap it. So the disc was slightly stuck on the hub, so just give it a couple of taps, and it just popped straight off. So what we're going to do now is going to give this surface a big clean. Well, actually, first I'm going to try and get the rest of that bolt out, then give it a good clean, and then we'll give this a clean as well, and then we're ready to put the new disc on. Okay, so I was really fortunate and I managed to get the rest of that screw out and maintain the old thread, so good to go. It's probably obviously worth pointing out that you're going to probably need some of those new bolts. I'll pop the part number in the description. So BMW don't recommend that you grease this, and it doesn't look like it was greased before. So we're going to give this a good clean, a really good clean with the wire brush and some brake cleaner. So next thing you need to do is to get the new disc ready. So what you'll find from the factory, they will more than likely, unless they're the zinc covered ones, come with a slight, Christ, these are massive. Right, yes, there's a slight bit of grease on there. So what you might find, some have a lot more grease, in which case give them a good clean up with some brake cleaner, which I think mine, well, I've gone and done it now anyway, so let's give them a bit of a clean. So yeah, with the zinc ones, you don't really want to do this, because you can well, you can clean the contact surface, but you don't really want to go nuts on the ventilated bits because brake cleaner can affect the zinc. Yeah, so there was definitely some grime on there. So yeah, so make sure you've got clean hands. Once your disc's clean, get it on the hub, get your retaining bolt, pop it in, which is what we'll do now, and then it's just a reversal of how we put together, but we'll go for that now. Okay, so that's our new disc on. Now BMW recommend that you don't put grease on the hub, on the mating surface between the hub and the disc. I think this is so it doesn't go on unevenly. So all you need to do is give it a good wire brush, make sure it's nice and clean, clear of debris. Use some brake cleaner as well. Pop your disc on, put your retaining bolt in, and then that should be you good to go. Then after that, what we need to do is then pop the caliper bracket on, then we can put our caliper on, and then get our discs, our pads on. Now I'm going to be using this Pro Slip. It's an all-in-one kit. I've never used one before. It looks pretty good because it's got the 3 different greases that you need, so you don't go smothering everything in copper grease. So you've got the pin grease there for the sliders, because that's going to be silicone based. So I mean, I'm guilty of it, putting copper grease on a slider, or at least on the thread of the slider, and it shouldn't be done because it can knacker the rubber, because I think it's got alcohol in it. So that's a silicone one, so that'd be good. The pad there, that's going to be, I think, similar to a copper grease. That's going to stop vibrations and noise in the pad. And then we've got the clipped one there, which I think will be copper grease, and that's going to help with the friction surface. So we'll get the bracket back on, caliper in, and then we'll get our pads in. Okay, so we've got our caliper bracket back on. So it's the two 18mm bolts back in and torqued to 110 Newton meters. So what we're doing now is we'll get the pads ready. There we go. So what we'll do now is we're going to apply our Pro Slip clip grease. So this will be for, so here we go, the clip. It's anywhere where the pad's actually going to sit in the caliper itself. I'm probably going to pop a little bit on the clips that actually go into the caliper as well. So I'll just pop a little dab just on all the little contact points. Don't worry if you miss anywhere, because obviously you can go back to it. Okay, so that's any contact points there. I'll just do a little dab on there as well. That'll probably help it get home. So this one, the one with the 3 pins there, that's actually the one that goes into the piston. So we can use some of the Pro Slip pad for that one. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop a little bit on the back here, just where the piston's going to sit. So yeah, it's what you make sure as well is just give it a good squeeze and rub with the lid on, just to, because I think when they've been sitting on the shelf for a while, you can get a bit runny at the top, so just give it a bit of a rub. And then what we'll do is we'll pop those back into the caliper, but I'll move the camera so you can see it. So as best you can. Now I've already popped a little bit of grease around the edge of the piston. Now if we can get the head here, it's a bit fiddly, but if you can try and, without getting any grease on the pad if you can. Okay, so it was at this point that I stopped being a moron and actually got in a better position to be able to move the pad so I can get it into the piston. And then 2 seconds later, the delivery man turned up. When I came to put the other pad in, I, for some reason, forgot to push record. So all you need to do here is just slide that pad into the piston.
Right, okay, so what we're ready to do now is we're ready to pop the
on the other side,
sliders back in. So I've got the Pro Slip pin grease, which is the silicone based grease, not the alcohol one, so it doesn't swell the rubber. So you just want to pop a little blob on. Let's give it a bit of a move about like so. Take off any excess. Just want a fine cover ready like that, and then put that in the top. So remember, the smaller pin, the shorter one goes in the top and the big one in the bottom. So you just need to give it a bit of a wiggle until it finds home. That's it. So just go hand tight for now, then put the bottom one in. So just do exactly the same, grease that one up slightly, pop that in, and then once that's in, we're pretty much there. Okay, home straight. Final part, replace those dust covers over the sliders, like so. It's also worth mentioning, if you wanted to give those sliders a bit of a clean, just use some fine sandpaper, like 1500, 2000 grit sandpaper, just to get rid of some of the old residual grease from before. That's if it's on there. I just give mine a bit of a rub down. So yeah, so once the covers are back on, try and move your wheel as best you can without putting grease all over it. Then what you need to do, just pop on your dust cover. Now that goes like that. You dust cover rattle clip thing. So that should go in like that. Hold it like that. Then if you get a screwdriver, just push in there and then forward like that, and that's in. So that's the final bit. That's everything back together. Just make sure everything's torqued correctly. You can obviously give it a final little clean off of any residual grease that might have made it onto the caliper. More importantly, around your disc as well, make sure that's absolutely spotless. And also remember, guys, because we've pushed the piston in, the pads are nowhere near the disc, or relatively nowhere near the disc. So before you even drive or put it in gear or anything like that, take the handbrake off, pump the brake until it goes hard, okay? Then that will close the gap and the caliper, and then test your brakes, okay? So that's, I believe, everything. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please get a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you to all my current subscribers. I really do appreciate it. And if you've got any questions, please ask away in the comments, and I'll get back to everyone as quick as I can. So there we go, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. See you again soon. Bye bye.